First of all, Coach, how was it to be back on this ice today?
Oh, it's good. Good to be back in the home facility. We've been back in town for a while, but the ice hasn't been in until today. So no, ice held up good, and it's good to be back here and be in friendly confines of our own building.
Now, obviously, this is just the way it is every year this time of year. But what's the challenge of when you're getting players and juggling the new players coming in with what you have and that sort of thing?
I think the transition slowly over the years has gotten easier since we've implemented similar systems. We've been at this since the start of NHL training camp, so we've been with a lot of these kids 3 weeks or more, and the NHL club, the coaching staff up there did a good job of getting right into systems, and I think we followed suit once we got on the ice, and there was, we went from 3 groups throughout that whole week, so they were all getting the same message, whether they were on the ice with the American League staff or the NHL staff, and I think it has made the transition down to here, and really we're just preaching the same words. So other than maybe some minor tweaks or adjustments that we might like to see with our group down here, it's been pretty smooth so far.
Seems like in the New Jersey organization right now, there are a lot of guys that can really score the puck. Now, remains to be seen who's going to end up trickling down here. But with that being said, do you look at that and think, well, we might have a chance to really have a special offense this year?
Well, we'll see. I mean, there's certainly some good young players that'll be with us this year, and obviously we're still, we're going to look to some guys. We're going to be young this year. We knew that coming in, and that's a good thing. It's a lot of energy. You get guys that are eager to learn. I think there's a lot of open competition as far as potential recalls moving forward, and you want these guys to be hungry and come to the rink every day wanting to prove that they could or want to be the next guy. So, I think this year, out of the 3 I've been here, I think as far as young prospects, both on the back end and up front, this is probably the most we've seen. So how some of these guys' games translate into the pro game, I don't want to put too much pressure on them, but there's certainly going to be some young guys that we're going to rely on heavily to provide offense.
Talked to Reed today, and he's one of those guys that last year had a stat line where it just kind of catches your attention. You had him up here for 10 or 11 games after that season, but what have you seen in him, and I guess impressed by those numbers?
Well, the obvious, he can shoot the puck, and he has a nose for the net. I mean, he's one of those guys, the puck just seems to find him when he doesn't find it, and I think the biggest thing is finding somebody to play with him. He's not a one-dimensional guy that just sits in the slot. He can make plays as well. What I really liked about his camp, and this is something we always preach to the young guys, is adapting to that NHL and that pro American League, that pace. It's a little quicker. You're playing against men. You're not playing against boys that are all the same age in college and junior. And I think he's made that adjustment. Each year, we saw him for 1 game 2 years ago, and each year he looks physically and mentally more mature. And I think from a confidence standpoint, coming off last year and doing what he did, and then coming in last year and getting a bit of a taste. I think he played 11 games, scored some goals early. So from a confidence standpoint, I'm sure he has a lot of it. And the rest for Reed is just going to be maintaining it throughout the grind of the season.
And then last question for me. When you talk about all those young guys coming in, if you have somebody like Whitney who has been here for a couple of seasons now, do you look to him to maybe develop more of a leadership role?
Yeah, leadership, and again, going to be relied on. He's a guy that's, he led us in scoring last year, and that's after missing basically the first 10 games. So he's a guy, and from a leadership standpoint, you got some guys that are in their 3rd, 4th years. Dan Kelly, Mike Sislow's another guy, that we're looking to potentially have a big year if he's down here. Again, we say we're young, but because we maybe don't have that many 6 to 8, 10-year pros, but we got a lot of guys that have been with us for 3. Coming up on the 4th year. So it's time, I think, for them to take the next step, both on and off the ice, and from a leadership standpoint, playing and taking charge in that room.
Rick, preseason game coming up tomorrow at Hartford. Obviously, you don't have the exact team that you're going to have when the season starts, but what do you look for in preseason games, especially the first one, as you start to prepare for the season?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you want to see how hard the kids compete. You want them to battle, you want them to compete. And then secondly, just everything we've implemented. Most of these guys, with the exception of I think 3, have been with us since the start of training camp in New Jersey. So they've had a lot of time to digest. We've gone over systems pretty much every day, whether it's been with video or in practice. So we want to see who is catching on to this. Some guys may be slower learners than we like to see, but I think those are the two big things. Just playing at that pace and competing every shift, and then seeing if they've understood and can implement what we've been talking about.